In 2011, it was declared that Afghanistan was one of the most dangerous places in the world to be a woman. But that wasn't always the case. In the 1960s and early 70s, Afghanistan was often viewed as more progressive than neighbouring countries when it came to women's rights. Back then, women were able to pursue an education, get a job, and even vote. But when Islamic fundamentalist group the Taliban seized control of the country in the mid-90s, everything changed.
Why are women treated the way they are? A lot of it is the culture that's existed for so many years.
That was Paula Bronstein, a photojournalist who has spent the last 15 years documenting life in Afghanistan, with a particular focus on women, a group that is once again finding its voice as it strives to distance itself from the Taliban's ideology.
This is a very conservative culture in terms of Islam and the thoughts and the feelings about what kind of presence a woman has in society.
When the Taliban took over in 1996, a strict version of Islamic Sharia law was imposed across Afghanistan, with a number of laws specifically aimed at stripping away the fundamental human rights of women and girls. Bans were imposed on women. They couldn't even leave the house without a male chaperone and were required to wear a burqa so as not to show any bare skin. Disobeying these laws often meant brutal punishment, and the fear of reciprocation is still so great that some women have continued to abide by these laws even though the Taliban was ousted from power back in 2001.
There were so many women's issues to document and stories to be told. Poverty, forced marriages, many of them being child brides, the abuse that goes on within the household that nobody sees, physical abuse, mental abuse, domestic violence in general. No one felt it was important to have an educated woman, so quite a few of them are illiterate.
Low levels of literacy and old social stigmas that surround the idea of working women meant that the majority of Afghan families rely almost exclusively on a man's income. However, the number of wars over the last 3 decades has meant that many women have been left widowed and without a household income.
Under Taliban rule, women had no rights at all. Slowly, though, they're beginning to find alternatives to age-old problems like domestic violence and abuse, hinting perhaps that a brighter future lies ahead. If an Afghan man wants to divorce his wife, he just needs to say so. But for a woman, it's not so easy. In cases of marital breakdown, the family elders often settle the issue. For the matter to go to court, the wife must be able to prove abuse. But not all women have the courage to go all the way.
Women's issue is, here's the legacy of the war. The country has got so many, permanent scars.
During her time in Afghanistan, Paula did document some cultural shifts in favour of women's rights. In 2014, she took these photos of young women rallying for Ashraf Ghani during the presidential elections.
I really love the fact that women had, they were in huge numbers, without burqas, waving flags, and it was just kind of a joyous occasion. I loved the energy of the women that they had come out to vote. They were at rallies, they were just really involved. I felt like that's kind of a positive sign.
And there are other signs that things might be changing, albeit slowly. There are still many obstacles. The Taliban continues to be a strong presence here, and long-standing social stigmas about women's rights are still a problem. For Paula, it's hard to gauge how long it will take for Afghan women to truly stand on equal footing with men. But she does believe that the spirit to make that change does exist among the women she has met.
They really do show amazing amounts of stamina and just pure passion to do what they want to do in life.
I think where I see change, where I see possibility is the fact that women's aspirations has changed to a great deal. And I think general aspirations have changed, but specifically women's aspirations. Many women that I talk to, regardless of where they come from, urban or rural, different parts of the country, they aspire to lives different than their mothers, better than their mothers. They may not aspire to necessarily lead public lives or even be educated, but they know that it's not okay to be beaten up.
Even at fashion shows, women remain outnumbered. But in the years since the fall of the Taliban, women are better represented in the workplace, in government, and have more freedom in public life. But many Afghan women now fear their hard-won rights will be compromised in any deal. Ahu Shahidi pushes both social and gender norms as Kabul's first and only female tattoo artist. A controversial job in Afghanistan, even for a man. She's been widely criticized, but has her father's support and says that's all she needs to keep pursuing her passion. From businesses owned by women entrepreneurs to women's only health clubs, there are signs here that women are steadily carving out more space for themselves in Afghan society.
And most importantly is that when there is peace, at least the threat to our life will hopefully be, kind of taken care of, and then we can work on all those issues, which will take many, many years. I'm 33 years old. I don't foresee a very dramatic, positive change in the lives of women in my lifetime, if I live another 33 years. So that's a reality picture that I've painted for myself. But if my work can be the roots of change for my daughter and my grandchildren's life, that's the change and the hope that I'm living with today. What our fear is that we don't want the repetition of what the past decades have showed us.
I want to learn more English. I want to show the other people's, the women's, the girls, the strong, the men's.
Hopefully that the countries in that part of the world to give a chance to the woman to you can speak up for themselves and be part of the community, and that's change. You have seen there's a lot of changes come all over the world.
She really is the epitome of bravery because she has been through more than anybody can imagine. And she said to me when she was seeking our care that she wouldn't be whole again until we could make her nose and ears. And that she said herself that I'm very brave, I can go through all these surgeries, and I'm a survivor.
It's a message echoed by the country's First Lady, Rula Ghani, named by Time magazine this year as one of the most influential people in the world. Ghani has created waves by being the most publicly visible wife of an Afghan leader in almost a century. Born in Lebanon, she says Afghanistan was much more liberal when she first lived here in the 1970s.
When I first came, women had their space in society. They were respected within the family. They were respected if ever they took up jobs outside the family. They were respected in public spaces. It was really a very civil society. And somehow I hope that it will come back to it.
But this change, she says, can only come from women.
There is a saying that says, this is your world, shape it, otherwise someone else will. I feel that people think that they can come and do it from top, that say, okay, we're going to grant you rights. Rights are not granted. Rights have to be earned, they have to be taken.